There are many guys in the history of college athletics who won a national championship for a baseball team and a football team in the same year, but Anthony Muñoz did. Pro Football Hall of Fame, offensive lineman, 11-time Pro Bowler. What kind of baseball player were you, Anthony?
In my mind or in others?
But you played third base?
Well, I played third base through high school. Actually, I started playing, Dan, third base. Hey, it's great being with you. It's good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
So I started playing third base at the age of 7, and that was my childhood dream. So through Little League, 3-year starter in high school, mainly third base, but also pitched. Of course, I went to USC on a football scholarship with the agreement to play baseball. And so I didn't play my freshman year there, but my sophomore year in school was my freshman year playing baseball. Played a little first base, DH, but then I was mainly a relief pitcher once my arm got into shape. I was a fungo hitter, no longer playing first or batting, but I did pitch a little bit. I was a relief pitcher at USC.
Did you ever face Randy Johnson?
I didn't. In fact, Randy, I think, got there like 4 years after I got there. I left the year I played was 78, graduated in 80. So Bengals, I was a rookie in 80. So I think Randy Johnson was there a couple years, 2, 3, 4 years after after I left.
It's probably a good thing you didn't face him.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't face him. You know, being, I guess, what was he, 6'10", to about 100 miles an hour. You know, I faced some good heat in college, but I don't think I faced anything like his.
I was wondering about the evolution of the offensive lineman, because we talk about the evolution of wide receivers and quarterbacks, other positions, but I'm curious of how you played the style, and then running the linemen that are coming into the NFL now. What's the biggest difference with when you played as opposed to what they want a lineman to be now?
I think their bank balance, you know, what they have in their checking and their savings, probably the biggest difference. No, you know, it's amazing because there's no question about it, Dan. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're quicker. You know, it's one of those things where you just look at them and, you know, they are getting bigger in certain areas. But, you know, when you look at it, it still boils down to being able to do the basics, you know, run block and pass block, being able to move your feet, use your hands. And just because you're big and strong and fast doesn't necessarily translate into being in the right position, using the right kick, using the right step, using the right hand, you know, the right hand placement. So it's still, you still got to be taught. You still got to go, you know. And Frank Pollock, who's the Bengals line coach, I think he has a great tagline. He says, mastering the mundane. And I think as an offensive lineman, you have to have the mentality and the will to do that, because you have to really do it over and over and over. And to me, that's the difference between a good and a great offensive lineman is being able to master the technique and use it consistently.
How would you deal with Aaron Donald?
Well, I would. There would be a word in my vocabulary. Hey, guard, help! No, you know, those are the top type of guys that you would want to be challenged. And watching him, it boils down to technique. I mean, just because, like I said, you're big and strong and quick and fast, with him, you can throw that out the window. It's going to help you, Dan, but you have to be, not that anyone's perfect, but you have to be near to perfect every time you set with your hands, not leaning, not allowing him to use your weight to counter and throw. It's a matter of really focusing and using the correct technique. And I had one of the best technical coaches ever in Jim McNally, and we worked over and over. So that's how I would deal with it if I had to go against someone like Aaron Donald.
What's it like if you've given up a sack and you have to go back to the quarterback either to help him up or you go into the huddle? Do you say anything?
You don't. I think looks say everything. You have to be able to wipe it clean. And one of the things I use, an example, for those who have watched Men in Black, the movie, they have that little gadget that you click and your memory's gone. As an offensive tackle, you have to do that. I mean, you know, you see their Boomer laying on the ground or Kenny Anderson, you help them up and you just say to yourself, that cannot happen again. And hopefully it doesn't happen the rest of that game. And hopefully for me, I didn't want it to happen the rest of the season.
You were in the coldest game ever?
It was a little chilly.
But that was the San Diego game, and I was there. I was working. I think if you could have said to Dan Fouts and the Chargers, hey, you guys don't have to play. You can go back on the bus, get on the plane, and go back home. You're going to lose. Let's say, we're going to say you lost by 3 points. You played well, but you don't have to play in the game. I honestly thought when they walked onto the field, I thought there was no way that they were going to win that game just with their body language. How much did you guys, because you guys didn't you have sleeveless shirts on, or you didn't have undershirts on? Nothing like that.
Well, we felt we were crazy to play in that game. Might as well come out with no sleeves. That was the decision we made as an offensive line. So here's actually with 59 below. This is what I had on: a gray T-shirt, shoulder pads, and my jersey. We knew we had them, Dan. We came out to pregame warmup, and all the offensive linemen sleeveless. We looked over to the Chargers sideline. There was 2 guys pregame warmup that had no sleeves. We went in, came out for the kick out, and we made it a point to browse the sideline and find those 2 guys and see how many layers they put in when they went inside. And they had at least 2 or 3 layers when they came out. I said, okay. And it's interesting because people asked me after the fact, did you do that to have a psychological edge? Now, come on. I'm a football player, offensive lineman. We're not thinking psychology, but when it was all said and done, I think that happened. And, not to mention that Kenny Anderson, without gloves, mind you, played and threw the football unbelievably.
I want to get him into the Hall of Fame. I think.
Amen.
Kenny Anderson, he just sort of forgotten. You guys didn't beat Montana in the Super Bowl. That would have gone a long way, I think, in getting him in the Hall of Fame. Kenny Riley. Like, there's been a couple of players with the Bengals, but I wonder how that hurt Kenny Anderson that he didn't beat Montana that head-to-head Super Bowl in Detroit.
You hate to think that that's the difference because all you have to do is look at his career stats. And I've been looking at him a lot because I'm one of the biggest advocates. It's gotten to a point where it's really, really frustrating for me because, we're at Super Bowl in Minnesota several years ago. We're sitting there and it's Kenny Anderson, Roger Staubach, and myself, and we're in a conversation. All of a sudden, Staubach stops and he goes, by the way, why in the heck aren't you in the Hall of Fame talking to Kenny Anderson? A lot of guys that believe that. And but I think there's a lot of people that justify quarterbacks' careers by the rings they have, and I'm just not one of those guys. To me, one of my top 5 quarterbacks doesn't have a ring, and that's the kid that played down in Miami, Dan Marino. So hopefully this year we have Kenny Riley and Kenny Anderson as finalists in the seniors category. I tell you what, I'm one of the biggest advocates for both those guys, especially Kenny Anderson.
Yeah.
But now you look at Kenny Riley, the top 8 all-time interceptors, 7 of them are in the Hall of Fame. The number 5 guy is not in, and that's number 13, the Rattler, Kenny Riley. So, it's getting frustrating, and hopefully this year we get 1, maybe 2, and soon maybe both.
Talking to Anthony Muñoz, Pro Football Hall of Famer. When you see Montana, do you ever talk about the Super Bowls?
After I body slam them, no, we don't. We don't. And that's the great thing about it. I think you have other guys that talk more about it than the guys you actually lost to. We have great talks. I don't see them a whole lot, but when we see them, it's friendly conversation. We're at events, and it's time just to enjoy. But we really don't talk about, because I don't want to get back into counseling after losing fights.
How do you sum up what you've seen from Joe Burrow?
I tell you what, I love the guy. I mean, I've had a chance to talk to him, not a lot. Look forward to getting to know him even better. But what I see as a leader, and I mean, for a second-year guy to be, the guy's an amazing leader, great talent. But I just love I love watching how guys interact now, and the way people interact with them, what they're saying about them. It's real. And to me, he's the real deal. He's the total package. And I just love watching him play because for years they would get behind and you would say, oh, maybe they can come from behind. Now it's like, as long as he has the football in his hands, we have a chance. And not only him, but they've surrounded him with some amazing talent, defensively, offensively. Yeah. So I feel good about the direction this team's going with Joe Burrow at the helm.
I mentioned you went to USC. So much for the Pac-12 there, Anthony, with USC going to Big Ten. You're living in Ohio, so they're coming to Big Ten country.
Mixed feelings with that. For me, I'm excited because now I don't have to go out west all the time to watch a game. And over the years, I've been a guy that supported, and I go to at least 1 or 2 games a year. But 2024, I think, is when they start. Maybe 2 games a year they'll be out here. It happened so quickly, Dan. I can't say that I was surprised, because in college, all you have to look at, and it's about the money, NIL. Kids are the portal. They're going to where they can get money, and now teams are going to conferences where they can get the most money. So I think it's competition-wise. I mean, I thought the Pac-12 was down a little bit. We had some pretty good teams, but now I think it's going to be competition, and hopefully it helps the recruiting for us.
Where's your gold jacket?
Right now, it's hanging up in my closet. I just took it out of my carry bag after getting home yesterday from Canton, Ohio, and it's hanging up in my closet. I actually didn't have to wear it as much as I usually did, just a couple events. So with the heat, usually I have to take it in and get it dry cleaned because I perspire, or I should say I sweat a lot. But no, I just hung it up and kind of made sure it wasn't too wrinkled in my closet.
Put your hands up to the screen. How are they messed up? Oh my God! Oh my God!
Would you say 9 out of 10 aren't bad? I mean, you got this little guy that's kind of.
I mean, that's pointing to like Indiana, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I don't like giving directions unless I misdirect people with that.
Yeah, just go straight ahead. Wait, you're pointing over. How did you get that injury?
I was at an auction once, and the bid was up to 300. I said 300. They said no, 300, not 250. Dan, it's over the years. I was a big, from my USC days, we were hands, arms. I mean, extended, punch them, and all those years of punching those defensive ends as they're coming full speed. I'm thankful that there's only one going in the wrong direction. But people ask me, they know that I played a lot of years in the NFL, and they say, "So how'd that happen? How did you do that?" I said, "Well, I was out back gardening and got it caught in the root of a plant." No, it's just those big guys, man. You get it caught between jerseys, helmets, shoulder pads, and I'm just thankful. Like I said, there's one of the 10 that's going in the wrong direction.
But could you get that repaired if you wanted to?
I could, but it would remain straight. I wouldn't be able to bring it in when I make a fist. I can still make a fist. I can still grab things. I can still grab the club and weight. So, yeah, why mess with it? It makes, we would have never talked about it if it was straight, right? It makes for a great conversation piece.
It's great to talk to you. I tell the story when we were at ESPN, and I used to joke with Anthony. I'd say, "Man, if I played against you, I would do this." And he had no idea that I was going to do like a swim move around him. And then I did one where he goes, "Do that again." And then I did it, and you grabbed me in the ribs, and you held me for like 10 seconds, and then you said, "Don't do that again." And I couldn't breathe. I went, "Okay, all right." Thank you for reminding me.
It's fun. Just like when you asked me about how good a baseball player was, I was like, I enjoyed it, but to face a Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, or Steve Carlton, I think I'll pass on that.
Yes. I learned my lesson. Like, man, I could get by you. Then all of a sudden, he's like, "Do that again." I did it. But you never held anybody when you played, right?
No, never did. I just did that to you to just kind of irritate you. I never really held anything.
Thank you, Anthony. Great to talk to you as always.
All right, Dan. Good being with you. Great seeing you.
That's Anthony Muñoz, Pro Football Hall of Famer. He went to the Pro Bowl 11 times and a member of the 1978 USC National Champs.